The graduation ceremony for Alice was a symphony of dissonance, a melody of pride and sorrow clashing against the backdrop of the grand amphitheater. The air, thick with the scent of celestial blooms and the lingering echo of celebratory fanfare, held an undercurrent of grief, a silent tribute to the missing prince. Alice, her green hair a crown of sorrow, her eyes shadowed with a loneliness she had never known, walked across the stage with the grace of a broken angel. The cheers of the crowd were a distant hum, muffled by the weight of her loss and the fear that gnawed at her heart. The world, once a vibrant tapestry of shared adventures and laughter, had become a cold, desolate landscape without Charles by her side. She accepted her diploma with a trembling hand, the parchment feeling like a cruel mockery of her incomplete triumph. Yo, his usually jovial face etched with worry, embraced his daughter, his voice thick with unspoken grief. "We'll find him, Alice," he whispered, his blue eyes filled with a desperate hope that mirrored her own. "I promise." Her graduation marked the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter filled with uncertainty and a bone-deep loneliness. As expected, she was assigned to work in Elliot's office, a gilded cage where she felt both suffocated and strangely drawn to her captor. Elliot, ever the predator, sensed her vulnerability, the cracks in her carefully constructed facade. He watched Alice navigate the complexities of celestial bureaucracy with a blend of grace and quiet defiance, a spark of rebellion that ignited a possessive fire within him. He began to orchestrate their encounters, engineering chance meetings and urgent summons, all under the guise of official business. "Alice, my dear," he'd purr, his voice a silken trap, "I require your assistance with this rather perplexing scroll. It appears to be a treaty with the fire sprites, and their legal jargon is, shall we say, rather fiery." He would offer her rare teas, brewed from celestial herbs with names like Dreamweaver and Heartsease, their aroma filling the office with an intoxicating fragrance. "This," he'd explain, swirling the steaming brew in his cup, "is a blend favored by the moon goddess herself. It is said to enhance one's intuition and unlock hidden potential." He would regale her with tales of his travels across the cosmos, painting vivid pictures of dying stars and sentient nebulae, his words weaving a hypnotic spell around her. "I once encountered a creature on the far side of Andromeda," he'd recount, his amethyst eyes sparkling with amusement, "that communicated entirely through telepathic haiku. Quite the challenge, let me tell you, to negotiate trade agreements in 3-line verses." And he would subtly compliment her intelligence and wit, his words laced with a subtle admiration that chipped away at her defenses. "You have a keen mind, Alice," he'd say, his gaze lingering on hers a moment too long. "A rare gift among the celestial elite. Most of them are far too concerned with their own reflection in the cosmic mirror to bother with intellectual pursuits." He promoted her to his personal assistant, ensuring she was by his side at all times. Alice, initially hesitant, found herself drawn to his charm, a dangerous undertow pulling her towards the very darkness she feared. He treated her with a deference bordering on worship, showering her with gifts of rare jewels and ancient artifacts. "This," he'd say, presenting her with a necklace that shimmered with the light of a captured supernova, "is a token of my admiration, Alice. May it remind you of your own brilliance." He would arrange lavish dinners in hidden gardens bathed in moonlight, serenade her with celestial songs that echoed with forgotten magic, and whisper sweet nothings in her ear, his voice a hypnotic melody that wormed its way into her dreams. "You are a vision, Alice," he'd murmur, his breath warm against her cheek. "A goddess among mortals." Alice, starved for affection and adrift in a world without Charles, found herself slowly succumbing to his charm. He was so different from the boisterous, impulsive Charles, and so much more mature. Elliot seemed to understand her, to appreciate her intellect, to see beyond the vibrant green hair and the mischievous glint in her eyes. She began to question her own judgment, wondering if perhaps, just perhaps, Elliot was not the monster she had once perceived him to be.